Hello students, welcome to our APS classes, and as all we know that this is our foundation course special for the students from 9th to 12th. And in our today's lecture we will discuss important MCQ questions or objective questions regarding this chapter, that is the reproductive health. And there are important 20 MCQ questions और ऑब्जेक्टिव क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम दिस चैप्टर दैट इज द रिप्रोडक्टिव हेल्थ। तो कल जो हमने बेटे इसी चैप्टर से रिलेटेड जो था इसको हमने डिटेल में थॉरली जो था वो पढ़ा था। आज हम इस चैप्टर से रिलेटेड जो इम्पोर्टेंट ऑब्जेक्टिव क्वेश्चंस हैं या एमसीक्यू क्वेश्चंस हैं जो कि नीट पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से या एग्जामिनेशन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से काफी इंपॉर्टेंट है, उनको आज हम आपके साथ डिस्कस करेंगे। सो लेट अस स्टार्ट विद आवर एमसीक्यू क्वेश्चंस regarding the chapter that is the reproductive health, and this chapter is for class 12. So our first question, that is, which of the following is ART? Which of the following is ART? That is assisted reproductive technology. So you have to be found out that out of these which is assisted reproductive technology. Options are, number one is IUDs, that is intrauterine devices. Second one is GIFT, that is gamete intrafallopian transfer. Third one is ZIFT, that is zygote intrafallopian transfer. And the last one is both B and C. That means you have to be find out of these options which of the following is assisted reproductive technology. इनमें से कौन ऐसा है जो कि असिस्टेड रिप्रोडक्टिव टेक्नोलॉजी को बिलोंग करता है। ऑप्शंस दिए गए हैं आपके पास IUDs, GIFT, ZIFT as well as both GIFT as well as ZIFT. So you have to find out the right answer for the question number 1. So बेटे इनमें से जो असिस्टेड रिप्रोडक्टिव टेक्नोलॉजी आपकी that is both GIFT, second one is ZIFT. These are the assisted reproductive technology. GIFT, that is gamete intrafallopian transfer, and ZIFT, that is zygote intrafallopian transfer. Both are assisted with the reproductive technology, or both are assisted reproductive technology. So here both B and C is the right answer for the question number 1. Next is your question number 2, and your question number 2 is the technique called gamete intrafallopian transfer, that is GIFT. So the technique that is called gamete intrafallopian transfer is recommended for those females. तो जो ये टेक्निक है gamete intrafallopian transfer की, ये टेक्निक जो है वो उन फीमेल्स के लिए एप्लीकेबल है। वो कौन सी फीमेल्स हैं जिनके लिए स्पेशली ये टेक्निक जो है GIFT की, दैट इज गैमीट इंट्राफैलोपियन ट्रांसफर, जो है वो एप्लीकेबल है। ऑप्शंस हैं, ऑप्शन इज हु कैन नॉट प्रोड्यूस एन ओवम, या तो उन फीमेल्स के लिए एप्लीकेबल है GIFT की टेक्निक, दैट दोज फीमेल्स हु कैन नॉट प्रोड्यूस एन ओवम। Second is who cannot retain the fetus inside the uterus, and second one, that is those females who cannot retain the fetus inside the uterus. Third one is who cannot provide suitable environment for the fertilization, who cannot provide the suitable environment for the fertilization, and D is all of these. That means regarding this question, that is the technique that is gamete intrafallopian transfer is applicable for those females. First is those females who cannot produce an ovum. First, that is the first option. Second option, those females who cannot produce a suitable environment for the fertilization. And the third one is who cannot retain the fetus inside the uterus. And D is all of these. That means you have to find out of these options which is the correct option for the technique that is GIFT, that is gamete intrafallopian transfer. So जो बेटा आपकी टेक्निक है, कल भी हमने पढ़ा था, जो आपकी टेक्निक है gamete intrafallopian transfer की, ये टेक्निक जो है ये स्पेशली उन फीमेल्स के लिए एप्लीकेबल है those females who cannot produce an ovum, जो females ovum को produce नहीं कर पाती है, that means at that time the technique that is GIFT or gamete intrafallopian transfer is applicable at that time for those females. So here the right answer is who cannot produce an ovum, who cannot produce an ovum. So this is the right answer for the gamete intrafallopian transfer. That means those females who cannot produce an ovum. So this technique is applicable for those females. Now shift to the question number 3. And your question number 3 is which method can be used for the woman that cannot produce ovum but can provide suitable environment? Your question number 3 is which method can be used for the woman? Which method can be used for the woman that cannot produce ovum? That cannot produce ovum but can provide the suitable environment. इससे पहले जो हमने क्वेश्चन पढ़ा उसमें ये था कि कौन सी ऐसी फीमेल्स है जिसमें स्पेशली जो गैमीट इंट्राफेलोपियन ट्रांसफर की जो टेक्निक है वो एप्लीकेबल होती है। अब नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन जो हमारा आ रहा है वो ये है कि कौन सा ऐसा मेथड है जो कि यूज किया जाता है स्पेशली उन फीमेल्स के लिए या उन वुमेन्स के लिए जो कि ओवम तो वो प्रोड्यूस नहीं कर पाती है, those women who cannot produce the ovum but they can provide the suitable environment. Ovum को वो produce नहीं कर पाएंगे but at the same time they can produce the suitable environment. So which method is applicable for those women? Option 1 is IUD, that is intrauterine device, GIFT, that is gamete intrafallopian transfer. Next is IUI, that is intrauterine insemination. Last one is ICSI, that is intracytoplasmic semination in transfer. So there are 4 options regarding this question. That is which method can be used for the women who cannot produce the ovum but they can produce a suitable environment for the embryo. Options दी गई हैं IUT, GIFT, IUI as well as ICSI. So which is the correct method for this question? तो इसमें जो एक करेक्ट ऑप्शन रहेगी हमारी, या करेक्ट मेथड रहेगा ऐसे वुमेन्स के लिए जो कि ओवम प्रोड्यूस नहीं कर पाती है बट दे कैन प्रोड्यूस द सुटेबल एनवायरनमेंट, दैट इज GIFT. That is GIFT. This is the best method for those women who cannot produce the ovum but they can produce the suitable environment. That is gamete intrafallopian transfer is the method that is applicable for those women or those females who cannot produce the ovum but they can produce the suitable environment. So here this is the right answer for the question number 3, that is GIFT. Now shift to the question number 4, and your question number 4 is which of these can be used to cure infertility, especially infertility in the couples where male partner has very low sperm count? It is your question number 4, and I repeat my question number 4. Which of these can be used to cure infertility? That means there are different methods, and out of these methods you have to be found out which method is used to cure the infertility, especially in the couples, both male and female, where males partner has very low sperm count, जिसमें कि male partner जो होता है उसका sperm count जो होता है that is to be very low. Options हैं IUG, B, GIFT, IUI, and D is none of these. IUD is intrauterine devices, GIFT is gamete intrafallopian transfer, IUI is the intrauterine insemination, where the sperms are directly injected into the female's uterus. So that technique is known as IUI. So here your question is, which of these can be used to cure infertility, especially in the couples where male partner has very low sperm count. So you have to find out the correct method that is used to cure the infertility, especially in the couples where the male partner has to be very least sperm count. तो बेटे देखिए क्वेश्चन नंबर 4 का क्या आंसर हो सकता है। तो बेटे दो टेक्निक हमारी जो यूज हो सकती है स्पेशली इनफर्टिलिटी को क्योर करने के लिए, स्पेशली इन द कपल्स वेयर मेल पार्टनर हैज वेरी लो स्पर्म काउंट, तो उसमें जो हमारी करेक्ट ऑप्शन रहेगी दैट इज IUI। IUI एक ऐसा टेक्निक है जिसकी हेल्प से हम क्या कर सकते हैं, हम इनफर्टिलिटी इन कपल्स में जो आती है उसको हम क्योर कर सकते हैं वेयर स्पेशली मेल पार्टनर हैज वेरी लो स्पर्म काउंट with the help of IUI, that is intrauterine sperm method, is directly used to cure the infertility in the couples where male partner has very low sperm count. That is IUI, intrauterine insemination. Intrauterine insemination. And intrauterine insemination is a method or is a technique where the sperms of the male they are directly injected into the female's uterus. So this is the technique that is known as IUI. Now shift to the question number 5. And your question number 5 is the method of directly injecting a sperm into ovum. The method that is directly injected the sperm into the ovum in assisted reproductive technology is called as. So I repeat my question again. The method of directly injecting sperm into the ovum in assisted reproductive technology, that technique is called as, options are GIFT, B ZIFT, C ICSI, and D is ET. And it is your question number 5. Question number 5. तो बेटे कौन सा ऐसा मेथड है जिसमें हम डायरेक्टली इंजेक्ट करते हैं, और डायरेक्टली इंजेक्ट किसको करते हैं, स्पर्म को इंजेक्ट करते हैं किसमें, ओवम में, ठीक है, स्पेशली इन असिस्टेड रिप्रोडक्टिव टेक्नोलॉजी. सो दैट इज कॉल्ड एज आइदर GIFT, ZIFT, उसके बाद ICSI, and the last one is ET. So which is the right answer for the question number 5? इंट्रासाइटोप्लाज्मिक सेमिनेशन डिवाइस है, या फिर जाइगोट इंट्राफेलोपियन ट्रांसफर है, या फिर गैमीट इंट्राफेलोपियन ट्रांसफर है. तो कौन सा है जो इसमें से सही मेथड है जिसमें कि हम डायरेक्टली इंजेक्ट करते हैं स्पर्म्स को इनटू ओवम में, स्पेशली इन असिस्टेड रिप्रोडक्टिव टेक्नोलॉजी, एंड दैट इज कॉल्ड एज क्वेश्चन नंबर 5. So that technique is called as beta ICSI, intracytoplasmic semination and transfer. So this is the right answer for the question number 5, ICSI. Now shift to the question number 6, and your question number 6 is increased IMR and decreased MMR. Infertility and MMR, that is maternal mortality rate, and this is infertile mortality rate and decreased maternal mortality rate in a population will, अगर increased होता है आपका IMR, that is infertility rate, and decreased maternal mortality rate, that is in a population, it will either cause rapid increase in the growth rate. Second one is result in decline in the growth rate, and the third one is not cause significant change in the growth rate. And the last one is result in explosive population. Result in explosive population. So here increased IMMR and decreased MMR in a population will be either cause the rapid increase in the growth rate या फिर result in the decline growth rate. Third one is not cause significant change in the growth rate, and the last one is result in explosive population. So it is your question number 6. अगर increased होता है IMR and decrease करता है decrease MMR in a population, so it will क्या करेगा बेटे? It is your question number 6. Then it will results in decline, result in decline, result in decline in growth rate, the result in decline in growth rate. So this is the right answer, where increased IMR and decreased NMR in a population, it will results in the decline in growth rate. This is the right answer for the question number 6. Now shift to the question number 7. And your question number 7 is intensely lactating mothers. Intensely lactating mothers do not generally conceive due to, especially intensely lactating mothers do not conceive ड्यू टू, वो कंसीव नहीं कर पाती हैं, जो एक लैक्टेटिंग मदर्स होती हैं या फीडिंग मदर्स होती हैं, दे डू नॉट कंसीव इमीडिएटली ड्यू टू ऑप्शंस दिए गए हैं. देयर आर 4 ऑप्शंस व्हाई द लैक्टेटिंग मदर्स डू नॉट कंसीव. ऑप्शन ए suppression of the gonadotropins, second one is hyper secretion of the gonadotropins, third one is suppression of the gametic transport, and the last one is suspension of fertilization. So how the intensely lactating mothers do not conceive? By which of the following reason? Either suppression of the gonadotropins, and second one is hypersecretion of the gonadotropin, या फिर suppression of the gametic transport, and the last one is suppression of the fertilization. And it is your question number 7. तो जो एक lactating mothers हैं, they do not conceive due to the secretion of the or suppression of the gonadotropin. क्योंकि जो gonadotropin का हार्मोन है, when the gonadotropin hormones it suppresses, due to this reason the lactating mothers do not conceive. That is suppression of the gonadotropin. This is the most significant reason why the lactating mothers do not conceive. So suppression of the gonadotropin is the only reason why which the lactating mothers do not conceive. So here this is the right answer. Next is the question number 8, and your question number 8 is a national level approach, that is a national level approach to build up a reproductively healthy society was taken up in our country. That means a national level approach to build up a reproductive healthy society was taken up in our country. That is in 1950s, 1960s, 1980s as well as 1990s. So which is the right option? That is according to the national level approach, that is to be build up healthy reproductive society that was to be taken in our country either in 1950s, 1960s, 1980s as well as 1990. So a national level approach that is to be build a reproductive healthy society in our country, that is to be built in 1950s. So this is the right answer. That is a national level approach that is to be built up a reproductive healthy society, especially in our country, is to be built in 1950s. Next is the question number 9. That is emergency contraceptives. These are the contraceptives that are the emergency contraceptives, and emergency contraceptives, these are effective if used that is in 72 hours of the coitus, 72 hours of the ovulation, 72 hours of the menstruation, and the last one is 72 hours of the implantation. So the emergency contraceptives, these are effective. Effective तो होते हैं, but when they are used within either 72 hours of the coitus है, या फिर 72 hours of ovulation, and the third one is 72 hours of the menstruation, and the last one is 72 hours of the implantation. So when these emergency contraceptives are to be effective, then they are used within either 72 hours of the coitus, या फिर 72 hours of ovulation, या फिर 72 hours of menstruation, and the last one is 72 hours of implantation. So which is the most effective method that is to be used for the emergency contraceptives? It is the question number 9. So बेटे कल के भी हमने लेक्चर में डिटेल में सारी चीजें पढ़ी थी. तो जो एक इमरजेंसी कॉन्ट्रासेप्टिव्स हैं ये इफेक्टिव तो होते हैं, ये काफी इफेक्टिव है, बट जब हम उनको एक टाइम ड्यूरेशन के अंदर जो है वो यूज करें. सो द इमरजेंसी कॉन्ट्रासेप्टिव्स आर इफेक्टिव व्हेन दे आर यूज्ड विदिन 72 hours of coitus. 72 hours of coitus. So within this duration, that is the 72 hours of the coitus, at that time the emergency contraceptives are to be very effective. Not within the 72 hours of ovulation, not within the 72 hours of menstruation, and even not within the 72 hours of the implantation. Next is the question number 10, and your question number 10 is from the sexually transmitted diseases. From the sexually transmitted diseases that are mentioned below. These are the sexually transmitted diseases that are to be mentioned below. Identify the one which does not specify or specifically affect the sex organs. आपके पास different type के sex organs दिए गए हैं. उस sex organs में से आपने identify करना है कि कौन से ऐसे sex organs हैं, sexually transmitted diseases. ये सारे के सारे जो हैं, all these are the sexually transmitted diseases, and out of these sexually transmitted diseases you have to find out those sexually transmitted diseases which have no effect on the sex organs, जिसका कि sex organs के ऊपर कोई effect नहीं पड़ता है. Options हैं, number 1 is syphilis, second one is AIDS, that is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, third one is gonorrhea, and the last one is genital warts. So out of these sexually transmitted diseases you have to be find out so which one of the sexually transmitted diseases does not have any effect on the sex organ, जो कि sex organs को कोई भी affect नहीं करते हैं. इस sexually transmitted diseases में से आपने एक ऐसे sexually transmitted disease को find out करना है जो कि किसी भी sex organ को जो वो effect नहीं करते हैं. So it is your question number 10. तो बेटे from the sexually transmitted diseases, that is syphilis, AIDS, gonorrhea as well as genital warts, only AIDS is the sexually transmitted disease that does not specifically affect the sex organ. That is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Acquired immunodeficiency syndrome is the only sexually transmitted disease which does not have any effect on the sex organ. So here this is the right answer for the question number 10. Now shift to the question number 11, and your question number 11 is condoms are one of the most popular contraceptives. Condoms are one of the most important popular contraceptives because of the following reason. Number 1 is they are the effective barriers for the insemination. Second one is they do not interfere with the coital act. Third one is they help in reducing the risk of STDs, that is sexually transmitted diseases. STDs is sexually transmitted diseases. D is all of these. So condoms are one of the most important effective contraceptives due to the following reasons. Number one is these are the effective barriers, especially for the insemination. Second one is they do not interfere with the coitus or coital act. And the third one is they help in reducing the risk of the sexually transmitted diseases. And the last one is all of these. So it is your question number 11. अभी हमने कहा कि जो आपके कंडोम्स हैं, these are the most effective contraceptives due to the following reasons. Number one is they are most effective barriers, especially for the insemination. Second one is they do not interfere with the coital act or the coitus. Third one is they help in reducing the risk of the sexually transmitted diseases. So you have to find out how we can say that these contraceptives are to be most effective. तो इनमें से जो है बेटे these are most effective contraceptives. तो इसमें सारे के सारे reasons जो है वो सही है. पहला reason जो है कि they help in reducing the risk of sexually transmitted diseases. They are the effective barriers, especially for the insemination. And the third one is they do not interfere with the coital act or the coitus. So due to these reasons, condoms are most effective contraceptives. So here all of these is the right answer. That is D is your right answer. That means these are effective barriers for the insemination. They do not interfere with the coital act or the coitus, and they are the most important or they are very helpful, or they are reducing in the sexually transmitted disease. So next is your question number 12, and your question number 12 is, this is your question number 12, and your question number 12 is the correct surgical procedure. The correct surgical procedure as a contraceptive method is, number one is ovariotomy, second one is hysterectomy, C is vasectomy, and the last one is castration. So which is the correct surgical method as a contraceptive method? So you have to find out the correct surgical methods, especially for the किस चीज के लिए contraceptive method के लिए, either ovariotomy, hysterectomy, vasectomy as well as castration. So beta the correct surgical method that is to be used for the surgical method or the contraceptive method, that is to be vasectomy. And this surgical method, it is applicable in case of the males where the vasa differentia at the ends, that is to be tied and cut at the ends. So this is the surgical method that is to be used, or that is to be used in case of contraceptive method, especially in case of the males where the vasa differentia at the ends, that is to be tied and cut at the ends. So this is the right answer for the question number 12. That is the surgical method. Next is your question number 13, and your question number 13 is RCH. RCH stands for, number one is routine checkup of health, second one is reproduction cum hygiene, third one is reversible contraceptive hazards, and the last one is reproductive and child health care. It is your last option for the question number 13, that is RCH. चार options दी गई हैं, you have to find out RCH stands for. Number one, that is routine checkup of the health, second one is reproduction cum hygiene, third one is reversible contraceptive hazards, and the last one is reproductive cum child health care. Reproductive and child health care. So here RCH stands for reproductive and child health care. So RCH stands for Reproductive and Child Health Care. So this is the right answer for the question number 13. Now shift to the question number 14, and your question number 14 is aminosynthesis. That is a special type of technique, and aminosynthesis is a technique that is to be used in case of determining errors in the amino acid metabolism in the embryo. So aminosynthesis is a special type of technique that is to be used in case of the embryo to find out the errors, especially in case of the amino acids. Second one is pinpoint specific cardiac ailments in the embryo, that is cardiac ailments in the embryo. Third one is determine any hereditary genetic abnormality in the embryo, and D is all of these, and it is your question number 14. तो जो आपकी टेक्निक है दैट इज अमीनोसिंथेसिस. अब अमीनोसिंथेसिस एक ऐसी टेक्निक है जिसको स्पेशली किस चीज के लिए यूज किया जाता है, या तो हम उसको यूज करते हैं डिटरमाइन करने के लिए, जिसमें हम स्पेशली उन एरर्स को डिटरमाइन करते हैं जो कि डायरेक्टली रिलेट करते हैं किस चीज से, अमाइनो एसिड मेटाबॉलिज्म इन केस ऑफ द एम्ब्रॉय. सेकेंड वन में हमने कहा कि या तो पिन पॉइंट स्पेसिफिक कार्डिक मसल्स एलिमेंट्स जो हैं उनको डिटरमाइन करने के लिए हम एमिनोसिंथेसिस टेक्निक का यूज करते हैं, या फिर हम डिटरमाइन करने के लिए जो एमिनोसिंथेसिस का टेक्निक है उसको हम उस केस में यूज करते हैं जहां पर कि हम उसको डिटरमाइन कर सके हेरिडिटरी एज वेल एज जेनेटिक जो भी एबनॉर्मलिटीज होंगी किसी भी चाइल्ड में, उसको हम जस्टिफाई करने के लिए हम एमिनोसिंथेसिस की टेक्निक का यूज करेंगे, या फिर ऑल ऑफ दीज. दैट मींस इसमें से कोई ना कोई एक ऐसी ऑप्शन होगी जो कि डायरेक्टली रिलेट करेगी हमारी एमिनोसिंथेसिस टेक्निक के साथ. तो जो एमिनोसिंथेसिस है वो एक ऐसी टेक्निक है जिसमें कि हम स्पेशली डिटरमाइन करते हैं एरर्स को, एंड दैट एरर्स आर रिलेटेड विद द अमीनो एसिड मेटाबॉलिज्म इन केस ऑफ द एम्ब्रॉय. ठीक है, उस केस में हम एमिनोसिंथेसिस टेक्निक का यूज करते हैं. एमिनोसिंथेसिस की टेक्निक जो है उसमें हम कोई भी आपकी हेरिडिटरी या जेनेटिक जो एबनॉर्मलिटीज है एम्ब्रॉय की उसको जस्टिफाई करने के लिए हम एमिनोसिंथेसिस टेक्निक का यूज नहीं करते हैं, या फिर हम पिन पॉइंट स्पेसिफिक कार्डिक मसल्स एलिमेंट्स जो है एम्ब्रॉय की उसको भी जस्टिफाई करने के लिए एमिनोसिंथेसिस टेक्निक का यूज नहीं किया जाता है. बट एमिनोसिंथेसिस टेक्निक का यूज वहीं पर किया जाता है जहां पर हम डिटरमाइन करते हैं जो भी एरर्स होते हैं किस चीज के, जो एरर्स होते हैं अमीनो एसिड मेटाबॉलिज्म के इन एन एम्ब्रॉय में. उस टेक्निक की हेल्प से हम इन एरर्स को क्या कर सकते हैं, डिटरमाइन कर सकते हैं. That is to determine errors in amino acid metabolism in the embryo. So here by this technique, that is aminosynthesis, so with the help of this technique we can easily determine the errors in the amino acid metabolism in case of the embryo. Next is the question number 15, and your question number 15 is which of the following cannot be detected in a developing fetus by aminosynthesis. इनमें से कौन है जिसको कि हम डिटेक्ट नहीं कर सकते हैं इन द डेवलपिंग फीटस विद द हेल्प ऑफ द टेक्निक दैट इज अमीनोसिंथेसिस. इससे पहले अभी मैं पढ़ा कि जो अमीनोसिंथेसिस का जो टेक्निक है उसकी हेल्प से हम कोई भी जो हमारे एरर्स हैं इन केस ऑफ अमीनो एसिड मेटाबॉलिज्म के अगर एम्ब्रॉय में अकर करते हैं तो विद द हेल्प ऑफ दिस टेक्निक दैट इज अमीनोसिंथेसिस उसकी हेल्प से हम उसको जस्टिफाई कर लेते हैं. पर अब जो आपका क्वेश्चन है वो ये है कि कौन सा ऐसा है जिसको कि हम डिटेक्ट नहीं कर सकते हैं developing fetus में by the aminosynthesis. Option is jaundice, B Down syndrome, C cystic fibrosis, and the last one is color blindness. So out of these which cannot be detected with the help of aminosynthesis, आपके पास चार ऑप्शंस दी गई हैं, तो इनमें से कोई एक ऐसी ऑप्शन है जिसको कि हम with the help of aminosynthesis टेक्निक की हेल्प से हम उसको डिटेक्ट नहीं कर सकते हैं. तो वो आपकी जो ऑप्शन है जिसको कि हम डिटेक्ट नहीं कर सकते हैं with the help of aminosynthesis, that is your jaundice. Jaundice is that cannot be detected with the help of aminosynthesis, not to be detected. So here this is the right answer. Now shift to the question number 16, and your question number 16 is in which of the following weeks of pregnancy CVS is done? In which of the following weeks of the pregnancy that is CVS is done? Option is 12th, to 14th week, second one is 8th to 10th week, C is 5th to 7th week, and the D is none of these, and it is your question number 16. तो इनमें से कौन से हमारे वीक्स हैं प्रेगनेंसी के जिसमें कि हम CVS को जो है वो हम डन कर सकते हैं या उसको हम कर सकते हैं? तो out of these weeks of pregnancy, CVS is done in the 8th to 10th week. 8th to 10th week. 8th to 10th week. In these weeks of the pregnancy, CVS is done. CVS is done. That is 8th to 10th week. In these weeks of the pregnancy, CVS is easily done. Next is your question number 17, and your question number 17 is causes for increased population growth in India is are. Causes for the population growth in India is are. क्या कारण है भारत में जनसंख्या के बढ़ने के? ऑप्शन इज या तो इंक्रीज हो रहा है बर्थ रेट में, या फिर डिक्रीज हो रहा है डेथ रेट में, या फिर लैक ऑफ एजुकेशन है, एंड द लास्ट वन इज डी इज ऑल ऑफ दीज. So, what are the main causes for the increased population in India? Either increase in the birth rate, या फिर decrease in the death rate, या फिर lack of education, and D is all of these. So, you have to choose the right option for the question number 17. तो भारत में जो जनसंख्या बढ़ने के जो कारण है वो इंक्रीज भी हो रहा है बर्थ रेट में, डिक्रीज भी हो रहा है डेथ रेट में, लैक ऑफ एजुकेशन भी है. तो ये सारे जो है ये मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट कॉजेज है फॉर द पॉपुलेशन ग्रोथ इन इंडिया. भारत में जनसंख्या बढ़ने के ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट कारण है. बर्थ रेट भी इंक्रीज कर रहा है, डेथ रेट डिक्रीज कर रहा है, लैक ऑफ एजुकेशन भी है. सो हियर all of these is the right answer for the question number 17. That is all of these. This is your right answer. Next is your question number 18, and your question number 18 is which of the following pairs contribute to increase in a population? Which of the following pairs contribute to an increase in population? Option 1 is natality and immigration. Second one is mortality and immigration. Third one is natality and immigration, and the last one is mortality and immigration, and it is your question number 18. आपको ये बताना है कि इनमें से कौन से ऐसे पेयर्स हैं जो कि क्या कर रहे हैं, वो कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं पॉपुलेशन को इंक्रीज करने में. दो पेयर्स आपके पास दिए गए हैं, उन दो पेयर्स में से आपको जस्टिफाई करना है कि कौन से ऐसे दो पेयर्स हैं जो कि पॉपुलेशन ग्रोथ के लिए जो है वो जिम्मेवार है, ठीक है, या वो पॉपुलेशन को इंक्रीज कर रहे हैं. नेटेलिटी एंड इमिग्रेशन है, मोर्टेलिटी एंड इमिग्रेशन है, नेटेलिटी एंड इमिग्रेशन है, या फिर मोर्टेलिटी एंड इमिग्रेशन है. इट इज अ क्वेश्चन नंबर 18. So out of these following pairs, the pairs which contribute to an increase in a population is natality and immigration. So these are the pairs which contributes to an increase in a population. So here this is the right answer for the question number 18. Now shift to the question number 19. And your question number 19 is which of the following is correct regarding the consequences of the lower population? इनमें से कौन है जो कि जिम्मेवार है for the consequences of the lower population? Options दिए गए हैं. One is it increase the poverty of the country. Second one is it leads to the storage or the shortage, not storage but shortage. It leads to the shortage of the food supply. Third one is it results in unemployment, and D is all of these. So which of the following is correct regarding the consequences of the lower population? इनमें से कौन है जो कि जिम्मेवार होगा स्पेशली फॉर द consequences of the lower population? तो लोअर पॉपुलेशन के लिए जो जिम्मेवार है consequences जो है बेटे, दैट इज इट इंक्रीज द पॉवर्टी ऑफ द कंट्री, ठीक है, कंट्री में जो पॉवर्टी होगी वो ज्यादा से ज्यादा बढ़ेगी। इट लीड्स टू द शॉर्टेज ऑफ द फूड सप्लाई की शॉर्टेज होगी वो भी ज्यादा से ज्यादा होगी, एंड इट रिजल्ट्स इन द अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट, और अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट भी जो होगी वो ज्यादा से ज्यादा होगी। सो हियर these all these are the correct options regarding the consequences of the lower population। जो हमारे consequences है lower population के लिए, ये सारे के सारे जो reason है that are to be responsible for the consequences of the lower population। Number one is that is it leads to the poverty in our country, second one is it leads to the shortage of the food supply, third one is it results in an unemployment। So here all these are responsible methods for the consequences of the lower population in our country। Now shift to the question number 20, and this is our last question for our today's lecture, that is your question number 20, and your question number 20 is the best way to decrease population of a country। कौन सा सबसे बेस्ट तरीका है पॉपुलेशन डिक्रीज करने का अपनी कंट्री में? ऑप्शन ए इज टू एजुकेट पीपल, सेकंड वन इज टू हैव बेटर हाउसेस, थर्ड वन इज टू किल पीपल ऑन ए लार्ज स्केल, एंड डी इज to practice and implement family planning। तो अगर हम चाहते हैं कि जो एक बेस्ट वे है to decrease the population especially in our country, so what are the best methods? By these methods we have to decrease the population in our country। Options है, number one is to educate the people, second one is to have better houses, third one is to kill the people on a large scale, and the fourth one is to practice as well as implement family planning। So which is the best way to decrease the population in our country? So here better the best way to decrease the population in our country is to practice and implement of the family planning। So this is the best method to decrease the population in our country, that is to be practice as well as implement of family planning। This is the best method or the best way to decrease the population of a country, by to practice as well as to implement the family planning, not by to educate the people, not by providing better houses, and even not to kill the people on a large scale। These are not the best methods to decrease the population in our country, but only to practice and implement family planning is the only way by which we can easily decrease the population in our country। So here better we complete important 20 MCQ questions or objective questions from this chapter, that is the reproductive health। So once again, good night to all।